Hello YouTube, Caitlin here, and today is Veda Day 18 and we're going to be talking about book recommendations for teens. Books are the best, yo! So I've gotten several comments during Veda asking what books I would recommend for teens. And since I love books, this is an easy one to do. All the books that I'm going to be recommending are in the young adult category, but that certainly doesn't mean that adults can't read them because actually a fair amount of these books I have read as an adult rather than as a teen. Generally, they're just great books. So my first recommendation would be the Harry Potter series because duh. I feel like every book fan is always like, read Harry Potter, so let's talk about some other things that you could read that maybe you don't know about. If you're into high fantasy novels, I would definitely recommend Howl's Moving Castle or The Chronicles of Chrestomanci by Diana Wynn Jones. She's been one of my favorite authors since I was in middle school, and I've pretty much read most anything that she's ever put out, and I recommend reading anything, but I would start with Howl's Moving Castle or The Chronicles of Chrestomanci because those are my favorite. There's also A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray, which is part of the Gemma Doyle series. It's 3 books. It's set in 1895 following some girls in a boarding school where kind of magical things start to happen because the main character Gemma is clairvoyant. It's a great book for teen girls. I don't know so much about guys, but it really focuses on female friendship and kind of that longing for things out of reach, which I think girls really kind of experience as teens because you're always like, oh, I want this thing, I want this guy, I want this beauty, that kind of thing. And then the Pendragon series by DJ MacHale, which I kind of put up on the level of Harry Potter in terms of world building. It follows this guy Bobby Pendragon when he finds out that he's a traveler and that there are other worlds that as a traveler he is supposed to protect from kind of the evil forces out there. So if you're a series lover, Pendragon is a great place to start because you do have 10 books. And then there's also the Artemis Fowl series by Eoin Colfer. I think that's how you say his name. He's Irish and it's spelled weird, so I don't know how to say it. That's another long series following a boy genius who decides to try to trick the fairy world into getting magic from them and gold, and he's all about riches in the beginning. It's interesting because you follow him and he's like this sort of evil character, but he's also like a little boy, but so it's sort of weird. This series has some of the greatest characters and it's really funny, and there are even fart jokes if you're a guy, so you can enjoy that part. And then there's the more modern young adult fantasy, which is probably my favorite kind of genre now. I loved high fantasy as a teen, but now I'm kind of into the modern stuff. For this, I'd recommend the Raven Boys, or really the entire Raven cycle, which is 4 books, and the 4th book is going to be released, I think, in January or February of 2016. This book is by Maggie Stiefvater, who is a Virginia native like me, and it makes me so happy. There's also Marissa Meyer's Lunar Chronicles series. Cinder is a modern take on Cinderella, where she's a cyborg. Scarlet is about Red Riding Hood, where she may or may not befriend the big bad wolf. And Cress is about Rapunzel, whose tower is actually a satellite orbiting Earth. It's very cool because it's very science fiction and space agey, which I don't think I've ever read any like fairy tales and science fiction kind of put together this way. There's the Reformed Vampire Support Group by Jinks, and so if you ever thought vampires were sexy, this is the opposite of that, where they're kind of weak and sick all the time. It's a good comedy and it kind of makes you think about the vampire werewolf mania in media today a little bit differently. I'd also recommend several books by Holly Black, including The Darkest Part of the Forest, The Coldest Girl in Coldtown, and the Curse Workers series, which is how I first discovered Holly Black at the library, and I fell in love with her ever since. And finally, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. This one's a little more creepy because it does come with actual found pictures that are a little bit disturbing, and that's who a lot of the characters, these peculiar children, are based off of. Now, I've given you a whole bunch of fantasy novels, and maybe you're going, oh my gosh, Caitlin, I don't like reading fantasy. Well, if you don't even want to try one of those, and I recommend that you should, even if you don't like fantasy, here are some real life kind of coming of age stories. There's Peaches by Jodi Lynn Anderson. This is a good coming of age story and kind of finding yourself for girls. Plus they work on a peach farm during a summer and may or may not meet cute boys. I love Laurie Halse Anderson. She does a great job at really getting into like teen issues and like the hard ones, like Speak is my favorite. I can't even really tell you what it's about because you need to figure it out while you're reading, and that's kind of part of the story. And Twisted, which really delves into the question of what does it mean to be a man in today's society. And the last 2 are kind of intense, but they really just blew my mind. Hate List by Jennifer Brown, where the main character's boyfriend goes on a shooting spree in the school, and she's implicated in this kind of terrorist attack because she helped make a list of people that they hated, and that's the list that he went off of killing people. And Boy Toy by Barry Lyga, which studies the after effects of abuse. So you can probably tell from this list who my favorite authors are, and I would really recommend books by any of these people over here, not just the ones that I've recommended in this video. I hope you guys will find a new book to read from this video. Most of these books are probably available in your library because they are a little bit older, so you don't even have to go buy them. Just go to your local library and check it out. So tell me in the comments what your favorite young adult book is, and remember to like, favorite, share, and subscribe if this video made you smile. See you guys tomorrow.